I deal with up here cultural wise, and then you said you had some advice for me.
For culture?
Oh, talking about how to talk to people of our
Well,
color.
I just talk to people that look like you, like me. You know what I mean? I'm
Hmm.
not talking about me. I'm talking about how do I make people that are living in a neighborhood that 99% of the people, or 90, I should say it's 96% of the population looks like me, and they're coming into this community. How do I make them feel more comfortable? And what was I saying before when it came to hair and skin needs that's maybe different to your culture versus my culture?
Wow, that was a loaded question.
Very loaded, because I'm like, which
I
part
don't
of
know what you're
it?
gonna
Like,
take first, Tangeeze.
I don't even
Go
know which
for it.
part to take. Give me one at a time, honey.
All right. Go for the second one, because that one I really want to understand that
You want
better.
to know about hair?
What?
Well, no, it's just that I've always understood it, and I've been told this by other people, that there is a difference in the way that you care for your hair than I do.
Of
Right.
course there is.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I was saying, is that we had a lot of children that did not have any black influence around them. They were in a white community,
Hmm.
being raised with white people, not understanding how to take care of their children that had black ancestry in them.
Okay, they just didn't know how.
What
Not
about
that they didn't
Google?
know how to take care of them, but they just didn't know how to do the maintenance on their hair.
Exactly. That's all I
Google.
was saying. What?
Denali
Google.
say Google.
Google.
University of
Google.
YouTube. What?
But
Then you got to understand that, Mr. Denali, this was in the 80s.
yeah, this was early on before
This
they
is
had
Do
80s.
you
videos.
still need the information now in
No, no,
2025?
no, no, no. We got together. I got some of my friends, and
I
they
understand because I got two nieces that are biracial, and their mama didn't know what the hell what to do, and
and
so
that's what was
kind
going
of
on
messed
here, and that's
she
what I was
messed their
trying to
hair up
explain to
because
you.
she put a relaxer, like one of those box relaxers, in their hair,
Oh
and
Lord,
it just totally like
The
messed it.
flyer says "Ask a black one." I guess that's what
that's the
got
well. See,
people.
that's
Yeah.
what I did. So what I did is that, because now I'm older, right, and I have friends that come from all
Yo
walks
yo,
of
I'll be
life.
right back. Yo yo.
And so I got my friends from Minneapolis. They came down here and we did a thing. You know what I mean? I knew how to handle that. That was simple. That's just, maintenance. Um, Now what I was listening to on here was about how they feel uncomfortable sometimes going into situations where you're the only person of color and you're walking into a whole room of white people, how that makes you uncomfortable. I don't feel that way when I walk into a room full of everybody that doesn't look like me.
Well,
So I don't.
Miss Catherine, let me just say something. I ain't never felt uncomfortable
Okay,
by me. This is just me.
right.
I've never felt uncomfortable by going in a room full of people that are not the same color as me.
Okay. I was
So,
just hearing it on TikTok. I literally there was a big conversation about it, and and that's why I called
and,
Mr. Rowe
and
up
maybe
about it.
and maybe it's because I'm well diverse. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I
Yeah.
didn't wasn't just around just all black people. So I was. It was Chinese people. It was white people. It was Hispanic people. So I've never experienced just being around one race the whole
Right.
time.
I'm on here on TikTok, right? And I mean, I do have friends of other cultures, right? And so I've never heard things like, I've heard women say, "Well, I've had to tone myself," and I was like, "What the heck is that?" You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to learn different things that people have experienced, and sometimes I don't understand what they mean by it.
That they have to tone themselves. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of confused when you said. What do you mean tone themselves? Like bring themselves down or not?
Yeah, so like if they basically go into a certain situation, they have to watch how they say it when they say it, because if they say it in a certain way, they'll get that they're an angry person and stuff like that.
Talking about white people or black people?
Black people.
That if they come in a room and say some stuff,
Yes, that they have to watch their tone.
oh, that never happens, Mary.
Okay, well, I'm.
Wait a minute. Hold
These are
on.
things I'm hearing on here, and I'm trying to understand. Do you understand what
Tangeeze,
I'm saying?
you know how
I ain't
black
never heard.
women, you know how they
Wait,
get
yo
the
yo.
label of the angry black woman? So they
Yes,
feel like they
ma'am.
got to tone themselves down. They can't answer the way they want to, or they got to answer in a
What,
different
what,
way
what,
so they
yo
don't come
yo.
across that. That's what she's saying. That
Okay,
people
That's
but
what
tell
they
her. That
said.
people
I've
tell her.
never witnessed it, so that's what
okay.
I was
I've
confused
heard
by.
people say
'Cause
that before, that they can't say it a certain way or they'll be known as an angry black woman if they say it this way. They got to watch how they say things or watch their tone.
How
Or
often is that, yo yo? I just want a question. I just got a question. What? How often is that black women say that?
I mean, I haven't ever said it or
Every day.
experienced, but I've heard people say it like she's saying. I've heard people
Every
say
day.
it. That's how I knew
Well,
what
we
she was
know.
talking about. That's how I
Well,
knew what she
we
was talking about. I've heard people say it.
right because we know we have to turn it on and turn it off. I do understand that part. Where when you go around certain people, you have to turn it on and turn it off. I do know that part. But I was trying to understand where she was coming from when she said um,
the
that
tone.
you got to tone it down. Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
She's heard people say it. She's
Yeah,
heard black women say it because I've heard black women say it. That's how I knew what she was talking about.
yeah. I know a lot. I don't know them by name, but I know the type that Mary Catherine would be talking about, and that would be one that can walk in the room and be like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm here. What's up? What's up?"
Well, yeah,
That
that's
type
the
of that
yeah,
type
that's
of person. You know what I'm
right. What
saying?
it is the it's I
The ghetto,
forgot. I can't think of the name of
the
it, but
ghetto.
it's where you
The
turning
rich
it
is
on and turning it off.
Well, no, to me, what it sounded like is that if they if they say something, like you said, you were right on it, Yo-Yo. That's how they kind of said it, was that if they say something, they could get called the angry black woman. If they wear their hair, they can't wear their hair a certain way. I've just never experienced these things where my friends have ever felt like they could wear their hair a different way or the way they wear it or any of this stuff.
Are you
So
talking about black people wearing their hair or
yes,
white people?
yes. This
Black
is
people.
me. This is me as a white woman talking to black women on TikTok and hearing all these things I have never experienced being around my black friends, and I'm confused. Is it in certain areas this happens,
I,
because it doesn't seem to happen in my area, you know
to
what I
be
mean?
Right,
To
because you
be
don't have
honest,
many
okay.
blacks in the
Well,
area.
when I go to Minneapolis, a lot of my friends that I hang with live in Minneapolis, right?
Okay.
So when they come here, we kind of enjoy culture. You know what I mean? Because we lack it in so many ways. So if you come here with your culture, we're like eating it up. You know what I mean? We're like starved little monkeys up here. We're like, give it to us. You know what I mean? And so that's why I said I don't understand it, because if you go to Minneapolis, you see so many different cultures. You see so many different, ways people live, thought processes, and everything like that. You go like where in Chicago, same thing. The larger cities that we can go to, Chicago and Minneapolis, we don't witness this can't wear my hair this way, can't wear my hair at work this way, because I've never seen it. Or I have never seen a black woman, at least in my thing, that has ever stopped who she is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's so,
it
well,
confuses
my
me.
Mary,
ass.
here's the thing, and so
Go
that's
ahead.
why they had to come out with the Crown Act. When they did the Crown Act, you know what that
Yes, I've
is?
never heard of the Crown Act.
Okay. So, because as black women, we've always have to be, you know, conscious of how our appearances is when we go for a job interview, right?
You, see,
Yeah.
this is where I get confused. Is that so do
It's not
we?
confusing because this is what I'm telling you. Is
Okay,
that we as black women have to be looking a certain type of way, with our hair done right, you know what I'm saying? And it has to be a certain type of way in order for us to get we have to be looking a certain type of way when we go on these job interviews.
so
You
what
know
does
what I'm
that
saying?
mean? A
Because
certain type of
appearance
way?
appe- appearance is very important, as well as us knowing what we're talking about and doing the right things to actually get this job. We have to look our appearance play a big part. You know, we have to be looking a certain type of way.
Right.
Okay. For example, Mary Catherine, what I do for a living, all of my clients are wealthy. I help people that are buying personal aircraft, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I can't show up looking a certain way at the events I go to, or
Well,
if I'm
would
getting a new
wouldn't that be
client.
the same for a white person?
I'm talking about I can't show up to what word do we want to use?
Are you trying to go
Tangeeze. I
ghetto? You were
can't
gonna say
show
that
up with
word, did
certain
you?
braids in my hair at certain events, or I can't show up
You couldn't wear beads
with
in your hair?
No, we're past that.
no.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold
No,
on.
I'm saying I couldn't though at the events I go to.
Yo
Really?
yo,
Not if I want to get the clients I want to get. No.
yo,
No.
we kind of passed the braids because you know we could wear boho and it looks like a hair like curly hair. So we passed that part. We passed it where we can like wear braids now because
I'm talking about certain braids I still couldn't wear to the things I need to go to if I want to get these clients. I'm just giving her an example and trying to explain to her what we're saying
All
because
right.
she didn't understand what you were saying about the hair and stuff.
So are you saying that if you went to your
It would
work
look too
in an
Afrocentric.
afro, yeah, I was gonna say, so if you wore
Yeah.
your hair natural, you would
I
not
mean,
be
I
able to get
could
a
do
job.
it, but I'm saying I would be doing it probably giving up some clients. So I
Really?
could do it if I want to, but I probably won't get some clients. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like, so I could if I want to.
That's
You know, it's a
sad.
free world. I could do it. You know what I
That's
mean?
sad.
But I probably wouldn't get some of the clients I get. You
I
see
hear
what I
you.
mean?
Yes, I hear you.
That's what she's meaning. And we got to
Okay.
watch how we talk and what we say and how our hair is. And we got to be
Huh.
conscious of certain
so in other
situations.
words, she got to look like you, Mary.
I have to tone things down and look like, I have
Like
to
Well, I
white
never
be.
people.
tone it down, so that's what confuses
No,
me.
no,
But
no. We're not talking about you. I'm saying that black women have to tone it down and look like you in order to get these jobs.
Tangeeze, even something simple. You know how like people have like that red hair.
I have red hair.
No, not your red hair. I'm saying the red hair that you
She
see
talking
black
about
women
fire
wear
engine red.
sometimes.
You ever seen a fire truck?
No, no, I had when I was. If you look at my picture, I had
No, no,
auburn
no,
red
no.
hair.
It's a different type of red.
Oh, that
Mary.
fire. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
But see, I can't show up at these things looking at like with that hair, Mary. Do you see what I'm saying? Like
I hear you. I hear
it
you.
wouldn't work out well. I could if I want to, but I'm saying
I get you. I get you.
it's not gonna work out well
But
for
would
me
you think
business
that?
wise. Look, I'm just saying. So those are things
I
she's
know, but
saying.
my question is that would a white woman be able to show up and get a job or get that business from that person with fire engine red hair?
Absolutely, probably not.
Exactly. So that's where I'm trying to see how where we have taken it. Where is it
I mean,
racial
but
or
it's a
is it
difference because you're talking about
business?
color of hair versus like hair that grows out your scalp. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's a difference when you talk about, you know, black women and their hair. I mean, we can wear our hair that grows straight out of our scalp.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I'm saying? But it may not be acceptable. It hasn't been acceptable. That's why they had to do the whole act thing.
So that people could wear their
Or
hair
people with dreads,
out of their
Mary
scalp.
Catherine.
Yeah, you can
I
wear your
think that
hair.
wasn't the main reason for it, Tangeeze. I mean, that brought the most attention to it was lawsuits and things. Wasn't a lot of it people with dreads were
Yeah,
having a
that had
problem?
something.
Yeah,
Isn't that
see, I
what
don't
brought
like
That
dreads.
attention to
had
it?
a
I'm
little
saying,
bit. That had a little bit to do with it. Other than the
yeah.
fact that people that wore their hair natural, which was like afros, like you know what I mean. And I'm gonna tell you, you know, a lot of black people, you know, on these jobs, and this is just people that I know that work in corporate, will just roll out the bed, and you know what I'm saying, and their hair is just like it was when they got up,
Yeah.
You
and
can't be
it
doing
was
that.
unacceptable.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, they just went further and beyond on how their hair should be. You should be well groomed on any job. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Just get your shit together. Like, what the hell is you looking like that for? Just
Yeah.
go
Whatever it
ahead
looked
and
like your hair, you ain't comb your
pick it
hair.
up. If pick it out if you want to wear afro, but make sure it's right. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And you know, black people gonna make sure they shit right. They
Oh
ain't going
yeah.
outside
Yeah.
without
Oh
their
yeah. Oh
stuff
yeah.
not right. So It was just a thing of that, of them
Okay.
not being well groomed. And that's the whole thing, is just being well groomed.
And also, Mary Catherine, I was going to say, you also have people who, like, I can only speak to myself. I was raised to, and I know people just say it, but I genuinely, like, I was raised to not really think about color like that. So, like, when you were saying people walk into a room and they feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
I don't look at
I'm
color
going
like
on
that.
what,
So I don't get uncomfortable because I don't really focus on
right.
color like some people do.
So where I
Some people
come from is
focus on
I
them. We know
don't,
people on this page that constantly want to just talk about race and color.
right.
I don't focus on that, so I don't feel uncomfortable walking in any room because that's not what I pay
See,
attention to. I
maybe
don't focus
that's
on
the
that.
difference is that I've met you guys now because when I was on the Democratic lives with the women, it was a totally different tone. You know what I'm saying? They talked about that. This is where I heard all this stuff, and that's what confused me was that because I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? Um, I've never experienced it, and I yes, I grew up in a literally predominant white community, but then I moved my happy butt to a predominantly like 1% were white neighborhood. So I was around the culture. I got to, and they were very good with me and helping me get through all my crazy, right? I still have it. I'm a little crazy, but they were always trying to explain things to me, like, cause I ask questions. I'm not a person that just sits and wonders and ponders and assumes. I ask questions, and so they were very graceful with me and answered those questions for me, just like you guys are. You know what I mean? So that I can understand because they understood too that I didn't grow up with this. So how am I going to understand it? And that's what I was trying to understand with them and why I called Mr. Rowe because I'm always trying to be a better and more intelligent person and more empathetic and understanding. I want to understand because I don't have that walk of life. So that's where I come from. I don't come from a place of wanting to put anybody anywhere. I just want to understand so that I'm a better person when I'm around people. And I do
And
understand
Mary
people.
Cat, this also in the attitude too, Mary Cat, because you can see how me and Tangeeze, like
Yeah,
our attitude
I love
about
your
it
guys'
versus others.
attitude.
Like her attitude about it was like, it's grooming, it's this and that. Where
Right.
someone else's attitude was like, oh, they're racist. They don't want this on the thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's also attitude about the topic too. Where you
Right.
can see Tangeeze with the it's about grooming.
Right.
Everyone needs to have be properly groomed, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
kind of like everybody has different attitudes about things too. We don't always look at the negative of everything or,
Well, like
blame
what I
everything.
did,
Like you were saying earlier, you can't call everything racist.
no,
You minimize what the term means.
exactly.
So
And
I
that's
don't go
why
around
when I
calling
work
everything
with,
racist.
that's why when I found out, I do have homeless that are black. And so then what I do is I make sure that I get products for them. I make sure that they get to a barber, and do those things, because we got fortunate now. We do have a gentleman that is a business owner here, a black gentleman that opened up a barber shop, and we can now service and help this, right? And so it's understanding that they that not everybody can cut hair when it comes to your culture. you know I had to learn that, so by asking questions. So I sometimes come across very ignorant,
I
but
mean,
that's why I ask
it's
questions.
not that difficult,
Oh
Miss
please, I
Mary.
got curly hair and it's difficult for people to cut my hair.
No,
i have,
ma'am.
I have
Hold
that
on,
baby fine hair that I
Miss
have a
Ma'am.
lot of it.
Miss Mary. Hold on, let me explain
Yep, go
something
ahead.
to you. Okay, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, right?
Yes.
We learned on white people's hair. We never learned on black people's hair. We didn't learn how to use Marcel irons. Okay?
What is
We
that?
didn't learn it in school. There was some taught on our own.
Okay, back up for a minute.
So,
What's a Marcella iron?
well, don't worry about it, because
Okay.
you'll never have to
We'll never
use
have
it
to use
in
it.
your
Okay,
life.
got
Okay? So I'm just saying that
it.
I'm just trying to explain to you that when we learned, the curriculum was on white people's hair. We didn't learn anything about black people's hair. We had to learn it on our own. You understand what I'm saying? So in school, we pretty much learned how to do, which we call jerry curls, if you are familiar with that.
I am.
Okay. So we learned how to do the jerry curls
Yeah.
on because white people got the jerry curls as well as black people. It was the
They
same
did?
product. Okay. So all I'm telling you is that everything was learned based off of white hair.
Are you when you're going with the Jerry curl? Are you talking? I mean, sure.
Yeah, it's how y'all want y'all hair curly when it's straight. You
Yep.
want
With
your hair
the are you
curly?
talking about the pins? And then you use the green stuff. And it comes in different colors, but
Okay. So what it is, what we call the jerry curl.
yeah,
Yo, are you familiar with a jerry curl, leisure curl?
Yes.
Okay.
Let your soul glow.
yeah.
So
That's what
glow,
I'm
right.
thinking of too. On what do you call it? What was it? Eddie
So
Murphy's.
Soul glow.
that's what white people wanted on their hair. They because their hair was so straight.
But
They
they called it a perm though.
We
Yeah,
called
they
it a
called it a
perm.
perm, but we called ours relaxers when we wanted our
Right.
Right,
hair
right, right.
to be straight because our hair is overly curly anyway. So we
The
want our
curl
hair
would make
straight.
ours curly, but they would call a perm would make their hair curly, right?
Yeah,
It was like opposite for them.
the perm is what y'all call curls.
Yes.
So when we say perm,
Dr. Shay, yeah.
when we would say perm, it's really a straightener, but we were just saying it wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, I never had to do any of
We
that
wanted
because
our hair straight where y'all wanted y'all's hair curly.
yeah, I have combination hair. My hair on my crown is straight, and then the below that is all curly. So I have
Yeah.
combination hair.
Yeah. So what you would do is you would get a whole jerry curl. That's what they call it. That's
No,
where it
I
came from.
I just lived with what I had.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody, but most people. And then you had a lot of people that was white that had like curly hair. That was really tight curly hair.
Yes,
They would want their hair straight.
exactly.
You know.
That's
So
what I
It's
said.
always like that. Everybody wants what they
Wants the
don't have.
opposite.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I was, a redhead, and I got picked on so much being a redhead when I was little, that when I turned 16, I begged my mother, please let me dye my hair. So I went blonde for about 5 years just to get through high school, not to get picked on as a
Yeah.
redhead. Yeah, because I mean, people were brutal to redheads growing up, just brutal to us. Um, and so yeah, I went blonde for a lot of years, and then my just let my hair naturally grow back, red. Which then when I moved to the neighborhood that I moved to in New Mexico in Albuquerque, I was the only white person that was in my neighborhood, and then of course I had red hair. So I was like everybody knew me, well, plus my personality because I get to know everybody. Um, and so that's where I learned about Buddhism, because my neighbor was a Buddhist, and so because like I said, I go places, I have to ask questions. I do. I always have to ask questions. I don't like being ignorant to things.
Yeah, and it's okay. I'm glad you asking rather than, saying some stuff you
Assuming.
know about. I rather for you to ask because, a lot of us up on the panel,
Oh man.
a lot of us on the panel will, answer your questions. We don't have a problem with that.
What's
I
up,
just
Graham Cracker?
but
Mr. Denali, I'm about to go to bed.
All right.
Can
Hold
yeah,
you?
I think
on. I
we
think that's
beat
it.
Nico to death.
Good night,
I think that's
everybody.
it.
Good
Yeah,
night,
Mr.
Yo-Yo.
Hi,
Remember,
Yo-Yo.
we
Good
left to go.
night,
There's
everybody.
no more show. I think that's a wrap. Everybody agree?
Is Candid
How you
still
gonna
in
kick
here?
us off on Mr. Rowe's birthday?
Is Candid
Huh?
Candid still in here? Candid and Dr.
Yeah,
Shay?
we got people down in the things down here. You got the Candid up down there. You got
The Candid? She's not in here, is
yeah,
she?
she's here.
Yes, he is.
Well, she's not.
She's not. Yes, he's smiling. Yes, she is.
No, she's not.
Yeah,
She's gone now.
She's not.
I think she just
You
came
know
through for a
Mr.
minute.
Rowe, no.
She just came to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's not.
she's been in here. She's been in here for a minute.
She's not in here currently.
Okay, well,
Okay.
y'all have a good
that's because
night.
you weren't paying attention to your comments.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody have a
Good
great
night,
night.
my dear.
Good
You have a
night.
blessed
I'll
night.
talk to you later,
All right,
Desco.
good morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you later on tonight.
Bye
All right,
bye.
let's
Good night.
go. All right, then now.
Woo! What a great conversation that was. I was listening as I was walking Denali, the Crown Act, hair, the things black women have to go through, and some black men who have the different hairstyles.